की जय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शतश्मर भक्तिवेदांता नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शतश्मर श्री भक्तिवेदांता वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शतश्मर श्री भक्तिवेदांता स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शतश्मर भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शतश्मर भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु महाभागवत श्री गोरक्षदास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपानुगौरिया गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नामचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौरमंडल ब्रजमंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदत्त गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंज श्याम कुंज यमुना गंगा तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री उद्धव गीत की जय। श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर सारार्थ-darśinī की जय। श्री भक्तिसिद्धांता सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद गौड़ीय भाष्य की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। हरि बोल। किशोरी मोहन प्रभु दंडवत pranams. Raseshwari Mataji, Ganga Mataji, and Yashoda Didi, Dandavat pranams to all of you. Hari Bol. All right, so what are we doing? Oh, Mangalacharan. Okay. Om Jnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayanitti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Itadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tar Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Pravrajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahakatara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Bhinedustang Sarva Bhutta Hridaya Munimanatosmi. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Shrinvatang Svakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vedantasto Yabhadrani Vidunoti Suhrit Satam Nashta Prayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Tavai Vasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshai Kshiptashtakama Ditaranga Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanaravindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, everybody. Let's see who's all here. Hari Bol, Kishore Prabhu, and Madhavi Didi. Dandavat pranams to all of you. All right, so let's get back. We're continuing on with Sri Uddhava-gīta. So in this book, Bhagavad Pravaha, it says, Krishna stressed the necessity of developing the mode of goodness, sattva, in one's mindset, lifestyle, and habits, and then eventually transcending it through devotion. Fascinated, Uddhava asked the Lord to repeat the instructions he had previously imparted regarding this. Once, when Brahma was questioned by his sons, headed by Sanaka, about overcoming desires for sense gratification, the engineer of the universe felt incapable of answering and turned to the Lord for assistance. Appearing in the form of a swan as Hamsa avatar, the Lord explains the nature of the mind. Not only is the mind drawn towards sense objects, but sense objects enter within the mind. Only by fixing the mind on the Lord can one escape its devious influence. When we see the material energy independently of Krishna, it is likened to a dream state. For such persons, whether in wakefulness, sleep, or deep sleep, all three are illusory, since their grasp of reality is fundamentally flawed. Krishna reassured Uddhava that even if one is unable to give up sense gratification, the power of devotional service will eventually elevate them to the perfection stage. With a vigilant eye, one should guard against the temptations of sense gratification and learn to practice with the heart. When Uddhava desired clarification on which yoga system is most evolved, Krishna described the various mystic perfections, 8 primary and 10 secondary, and the processes to obtain them. The Lord then emphasized that practice of devotional service, bhakti yoga, bears all these fruits, and most importantly, connects one to the Supreme Person in a very intimate way. The Lord becomes conquered by pure devotion. Just as Krishna described his opulences to Arjuna in the Bhagavad-gīta, Krishna explained to Uddhava how he is the essence of everything found in the world. Okay, so, one second, I have to take my Ayurvedic medicine. Forgot to do that right before the reading. So just take 1 second. All right. I have to take things like 5 times a day. So it's like... Okay. So let's go through. I'm going to read all the translations up to where we read yesterday, verse 27. Oh, and Dandavat Pranams Indira Mataji, who will be watching a little bit later, and Rohit Radhakrishnanji, Dandavat Pranams. Haribo. Okay. Lord Krishna explains the yoga system to Sri Uddhava, chapter 8. Sri Uddhava said, "My dear Krishna, learned sages who explain the Vedic literature recommend a variety of processes for achieving the ultimate goal of life. Considering the variety of viewpoints, kindly explain to me whether all of them are equally important or if only one of them is supreme." My dear Lord, you have clearly explained the process of unalloyed devotional service by which one can free himself from all material association, thus enabling him to fix his mind on you without deviation. The Supreme Lord said, "In the course of time, Vedic knowledge appeared to be lost at the time of annihilation. Then, when the universe was recreated, I again imparted knowledge to Brahma, because I am the religious principles personified. Lord Brahma instructed this Vedic knowledge to his eldest son Manu, who in turn instructed it to the 7 great sages, headed by Bhrigu. From the forefathers, headed by Bhrigu Muni and other sons of Brahma, appeared many children and descendants who assumed different forms as demigods, demons, human beings, guhyakas, siddhas, gandharvas, vidyadharas, charanas, kindevas, kinnaras, nagas, kimpurushas, and so on. All of the many universal species, along with their respective leaders, appeared with different natures and desires generated from the 3 modes of material nature. Therefore, because of the different natures and desires of the living entities within the universe, different statements regarding the religious principles have come into existence. Thus, due to the great variety of desires among human beings, various philosophies have come into existence. These philosophies have been handed down through tradition, custom, and disciplic succession. There are other teachers who present atheistic philosophies. O best among men, the intelligence of human beings is bewildered by my illusory energy, and thus, according to their inclinations, they propagate various means for attaining what they feel to be the ultimate good. Some say that happiness is obtained as a result of performing pious activities. Others say that fame, sense gratification, speaking the truth, control of the senses, peacefulness, and fulfilling one's self-interest, political influence, wealth, detachment, performance of sacrifice and austerities, giving and charity, the observance of vows, or the performance of one's occupational duties are the causes of happiness. These people obtain the temporary results of their work. Indeed, the meager and miserable situations they achieve simply award them unhappiness because they are based on ignorance. Even while enjoying the fruits of their labor, such persons are constantly filled with lamentation. O saintly Uddhava, my all-blissful form manifests in the heart of one who has freed himself from all desires for sense gratification, and who is fully surrendered unto me. The happiness he enjoys in my association cannot be compared to the happiness one experiences by gratification of the senses. Transcendental practices that do not ultimately one realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead are useless, be they mystic yoga practices, the analytical study of matter, severe austerity, the acceptance of sannyas, or the study of Vedic literatures. All these may be very important as aspects. This isn't what we're reading. Anyways, I'll just finish reading this. All these may be very important aspects of spiritual, but unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, all these processes are useless. So that was from Canto 4, Srimad Bhagavatam. Sorry about that. Okay. One who does not desire anything of this world, and who is peaceful, self-controlled, always equal to everyone, self-satisfied, that person finds only happiness wherever he goes. So how to find happiness wherever you go? We have to be only those people who are peaceful, self-controlled, always equal to everyone, and self-satisfied finds only happiness wherever he goes. A pure devotee whose life is dedicated to me has no desire for even the position of Brahma or Indra. And so what to speak of becoming a lord of this world or of the so what to speak of becoming a lord of this world or of the lower planets? He is not interested in achieving the perfections of mystic yoga, nor even liberation from the cycle of birth and death, because his life is simply dedicated to me. My dear Uddhav, neither Brahma, oh, this is a famous verse, let's read it. Na tata me priyatama atmayonir na shankara na cha sankarshano na shrir naivatma cha yatha bhavan. My dear Uddhav, neither Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Sankarshan, the goddess of fortune, nor even my own self is as dear to me as you are. Thinking that I will purify the entire universe with the dust of lotus feet, I always follow in the footstep of my devotees, who are free from material desires, wrapped in thought of my pastimes, peaceful, non-envious, and equal to all living entities. Those with no material possessions who are peaceful, free from pride, affectionate to all living entities, and have no desire for personal gratification, and who serve me with undivided attention, enjoy in me a happiness that cannot be known by those lacking such detachment from the material world. My dear Uddhav, if my devotee is not fully able to control his senses, he may sometimes be attracted to material enjoyment. But because of his engagement in devotional service, he will not be diverted by sense gratification. O Uddhav, just as a blazing fire burns firewood to ashes, devotional service executed for my pleasure completely destroys the sinful reactions of my devotees. My dear Uddhav, neither through Ashtanga Yoga, nor through impersonal monism or analytical study of the Absolute Truth, nor through study of the Vedas, nor through austerities, charity, or sannyas, can one satisfy me as much as by developing unalloyed devotional service unto me. Alright, this is a very famous verse, let's read it. Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya shraddayatma priya satam bhakti punati manishta shwapakan apisam bhavat. I think I had to learn that in Gurukul, this verse. Being very dear to me, being very dear to the devotees and sadhus, I am attained through unflinching faith and devotional service. This bhakti yoga system, which gradually increases attachment for me, purifies even a human being born among dog-eaters. That is to say, everyone can be elevated to the spiritual platform by the process of bhakti yoga. Truthfulness, compassion, religious principles, austerity, and knowledge cannot completely purify a person who is bereft of devotional service to me. Without the manifestation of ecstatic symptoms of devotional service, such as the hair standing on end, how can the heart melt? If the heart does not melt, how can tears of love flow from the eyes? Without the melting of the heart and without the tears flowing from the eyes, how can one render loving devotional service? Devotional service, how can the consciousness be purified? A devotee who is fixed in loving service to me, whose voice is sometimes choked up, whose heart melts, who sometimes weeps and sometimes laughs, and sometimes chants and dances without concern for others, purifies the three worlds. Just as the gold, when smelted in fire, gives up its impurities and returns to its pure, brilliant state, the spirit soul, absorbed in the fire of bhakti yoga, is purified of all contamination caused by previous fruitive activities, and as a result, becomes situated in his constitutional position as my eternal servant. If a diseased eye is smeared with medicinal ointment, it can gradually recover its lost ability to see. Similarly, the more a living entity becomes purified by hearing and chanting the narrations of my auspicious glories, the more he can perceive my transcendental form. Okay, so that's where we were to yesterday. Just checking the comments. Hare Krishna, Gopikant Prabhu, Sudevi Didi, Champak Didi, and Raj Bhuvan Yadav Ji. Hare Krishna, and Shash Sharma. Hare Krishna. Pranams to all of you. Wonder where Seshwari Mataji is though. Oh wait, she was the first person here. God, I'm so spaced out. Sorry guys. Okay. Vishayan dhyayataschitam Vishayeshu vishajjate Mam anusmarataschittam Mayeva praviliyate. The mind of a person who meditates upon the objects of the senses becomes entangled in such objects. But if one constantly remembers me, then his mind becomes absorbed in me. Vishayan dhyayataschitam Vishayeshu vishajjate Mam anusmarataschittam Mayeva praviliyate. Praviliyate. This is also a famous verse. This chapter has a lot of common verses in it, actually. Sārārtha-darśinī commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. One should never think that the worship of the Lord is a mechanical process that will automatically deliver the desired result. Such a mechanical approach to constantly remembering the Lord will never stand. This is such an important point for me. Because I find like when I'm doing things in bhakti, I'm doing the same thing over and over again, then it starts to become very mechanical. It just becomes a habit because I'm doing it daily, and so my mind, I go more and more into autopilot mode for everything. So it's like really relevant for me. Constant remembrance of the Lord's transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes is only possible for one who has developed genuine attachment for the Lord. Just as materialists can remain absorbed in the thought of the objects of their desire, so devotees can remain absorbed in thoughts of the Lord when they have developed transcendental attachment to his devotional service. Gauḍīya Bhaṣya commentary by Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda. As the material senses run after sense objects, thinking them to be most desirable, by the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, one becomes fully absorbed in hearing and chanting glorification of the Lord's transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Tasmārasad abhidhyanam yatha swapna manoratam hitva mayi samadhatsva marbhava bhavitam. One should give up all paths for material elevation, which are no better than the creations of a dream. One should rather absorb his mind in always thinking of me, for this will completely purify him of all material contamination. Sārārtha-darśinī. Because the other processes and the results are as illusory as things seen in a dream, the Lord instructs Uddhava to concentrate his mind on him by engagement in pure devotional service. One should give up all other methods for making advancement in life and simply fix his mind in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Gauḍīya Bhaṣya. The ultimate goal of life for the conditioned souls is to engage in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord by surpassing the three stages of consciousness: wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep. Stri sanginam sangam tyaktva durata atmavan ksheme vivikta asinash chintayen mam atandritaha. One who is aware of his eternal self should give up the association of women and those who are attached to women, and fearlessly sit down in a solitary place to carefully meditate on me. Important verse for me. Commentary, Sārārtha-darśinī. One should particularly give up studying the Kama Shastra written by Vatsayan Muni. All right, fine, I'll give up studying Kama Shastra. I'm just joking. If a peaceful person associates with such literature, he will lose his patience and become agitated. Therefore, one should fearlessly reside in a secluded place. I guess for me, like in relevant times, that means all kinds of movies and things like that that have like romance and stuff. Okay. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. One should carefully give up the association of women, as well as those who are attached to women, and should fearlessly and enthusiastically cultivate Krishna consciousness in a secluded place. Simply by thinking of a woman, one increases his desire for material life, causing one to forget the Supreme Lord. Therefore, one should completely disassociate himself from women and the desire to enjoy in their company. This is possible only by surrendering oneself to the Supreme Lord. Na tatasya bhave klesho bandhaschanya prasangata yoshit sangar yata pungso yata tat sangi sangata. Of all kinds of distress and bondage, none is greater than the suffering and bondage arising from intimate association with women and those who are attached to women. Oh, this is Śrīla Gosvāmī Maharaj quotes this verse in an article in Rays of the Harmonist. Na tatasya bhavet klesho bandhaschanya prasangata yoshit sangar yata pungso yata tat sangi sangata. Of all kinds of distress and bondage, none is greater than the suffering and bondage arising from intimation with women and those attached to women. Sārārtha-darśinī. One who desires to be delivered from material existence should renounce all intimate contact with women, as well as those who are attached to women. Any respectable gentleman will become guarded if he comes in close contact with a lusty woman. The difficulty is, however, that if one intimately associates with lusty men, their loose talk will infect one all the same. Indeed, the association of lusty men can be even more dangerous than association with women, and thus it should be avoided by all means. I'm going to highlight this one. The association of lusty men can be more dangerous than how come it didn't give me the highlight thing? Anyways, it can be more dangerous than association with women, and thus it should be... That's so frustrating. It's not letting me highlight this. There. Sorry, guys. I don't want that. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. There are innumerable verses in the Bhagavatam describing the intoxication of material lust. Being forgetful of the Supreme Lord, the conditioned souls consider themselves to be the enjoyers of all they survey, and thus they become bound by the three modes of material nature. This is the cause of their suffering. Because the living entities are pleasure-seeking by nature, in conditional life, they naturally endeavor to reach the peak of material happiness by enjoying the association of women. Therefore, devotees should carefully avoid the intimate association of women as well as men who are attached to women. Shri Uddhava-gīta. Just checking the comments. Okay, thank you, Champakti. Yata tvam aravindaksha yadrisham va yadatmakam dhyayen mumukshore tanme dhyanam tvam vaktumarhasi. Shri Uddhav said, My dear lotus-eyed Sri Krishna, please describe to me how one who desires liberation should meditate upon you. Upon which form should he meditate? And what should be the nature of his meditation? Sārārtha-darśinī. Sri Uddhava is already on the platform of pure devotional service. Still, he is inquiring about the process of meditation, not so much for his own benefit, but for the benefit of those who are not situated in devotional service. Uddhava said, O lotus-eyed Lord, kindly tell me how one who desires liberation should meditate on you. Upon which form should he meditate? One may argue, what is the need for a pure devotee like Uddhava about the process of meditation, which is to be performed by those who desire such? So what is the need to inquire about meditation, which is to be performed by those who desire liberation? Why is Uddhava inquiring about meditation? It should simply be understood that Uddhava asked such a question not for his own personal benefit, but for those who have not yet come to the platform of pure love of God. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sama asana asina Samakayo yatha sukam Hastav utsanga adhaya Svanasagra kritekshana Pranasya shodayen margam Purakum bhakare chakai Viparyayen api shanair Abhyasen nirjitendriya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while seated on a level seat that is not too high or too low, keeping the body straight and yet comfortable, placing the hands on one's lap, and focusing the eyes on the tip of the nose. Does that mean going cross-eyed? One should purify the pathways of breathing by practicing the mechanical exercises of Puraka, Kumbhaka, and Rechaka, and then reverse the procedure. Having fully controlled the senses, one should thus practice pranayama. When I went to the Ayurvedic doctor a few days ago, she was telling me that I should do pranayama every day. And so I started doing that just like a couple days ago. Sārārtha-darśinī. To concentrate the mind, one should fix his gaze on the tip of the nose. As stated in the Yoga Shastra, Antar Laksho Bahir Drishti Stira Chitta Susangataha. The eyes, which generally see externally, must be turned inward, and thus the mind is steadied and fully controlled. Oh, Krishna. Hridavichinam omkaram gantanadam visornavat pranino diryatatratha puna samveshayet svaram. One should raise the life air upwards to the heart, where the sacred syllable Om can be heard like the sound of a bell. One should then continue raising the sacred syllable upwards until it is joined with the Anuswar vibration. Anuswar is the H with a dot under it. Sārārtha-darśinī. No. Anuswar is M with dot, right? No. Sorry, I was right the first time. Okay, sorry guys. Sārārtha-darśinī. It appears that the yoga system is somewhat technical and difficult to perform. Anusar refers to a nasal vibration pronounced at the 15 Sanskrit vowels. The complete explanation of this process is extremely complicated and obviously unsuitable for this age. Okay. Yeah, Visarga is an H with a dot under it, and Anuswar is a dot, and M with a dot over it. Sorry, guys. Evam pranava samyuktam pranameva samabhyaset dashakritvastri shavanam masad arvag jata nila. The Omkar, thus being joined The Omkar thus being joined, one should carefully practice the pranayam system of yoga 10 times at each sunrise, noon, and sunset. By doing so, after 1 month, one will have conquered the life air. That's a lot. 10 times? Oh, you do it 10 times, like 10 breaths, I think, at each sunrise, noon. Okay, so 3 times a day, do 10 pranayams. Okay. By doing so, after 1 month, one will have conquered the life air. Sārārtha-darśinī. One who diligently practices yoga as recommended herein will control his mind after 1 month. Pundarikamantastam urdvanalam adomukham dhyatvortva mukamunitram ashtapatram sakarnikam karnikayam naset surya somagnen uttarottaram vani madhye smared rupam mamaita ridyanamangalam samam prashantam sumukham dirgacharu chaturbhujam sucharu sundara grivangsu kapolam shuchi oops Sucharu sundara grivangshu kapolam shuchi smitam samana karma vinyasta spuran makarakundalam hemavaram ghana shyamang shrivatsa sriniketanam Shankha chakra gada parma vanamala vibhushitam Nupurar vilasat parmang Kaustuba prabhayayutam Dhyumat kirita kataka Kati sutranggadayutam Sarvang sundaram vidyam Prasara sumekkshanam Sukumaram abhidyayet Sarvangeshu manodadat Indriyan indriyartevya Manasa krishatan mana Buddha sarathina dhira Pranayena mayi sarva. Keeping the eyes half closed and fixed on the tip of the nose, and being wide awake and alert, one should meditate on the lotus flower that is situated within the heart, which has 8 petals and an erect stalk. One should meditate on the sun, moon, and fire, placing them one after another within the whorl of the lotus flower. Then, placing my transcendental form within the fire, one should meditate upon it as the auspicious goal of all meditation. That transcendental form is perfectly proportioned, gentle, and cheerful, and has 4 long arms, beautiful shoulders, and a handsome forehead and pure smile. That form has a handsome forehead, a pure smile, and ears that are decorated with sharp-shaped earrings. That spiritual form has a complexion that resembles that of a new rain cloud, and is dressed in golden yellowish garments. The chest of that form is the abode of Srivatsa and Lakshmi, and is decorated with a conch, shell, disc, club, and lotus flower. That form of mine is decorated with a garland of forest flowers. The lotus feet are decorated with ankle bells, and this form exhibits the Kaustuba gem in an effulgent crown. The upper hips are beautified by a golden belt, and the arms are decorated with valuable bracelets. All of the limbs of this beautiful form captivate the heart, and the face is beautified by merciful glances. Withdrawing the senses from their sense objects, one should be grave and self-controlled, and should use the intelligence to fix his mind upon all of the limbs of my transcendental body. Thus, one should meditate upon that most delicate transcendental form. One should meditate upon that most delicate transcendental form of mine. I need to stand up, guys. Sorry about that. 1 second. I woke up at like 2:45 and then read a bit and then went back to sleep. And then anyway, so that's why I'm okay. Sorry, I have a bunch of stuff on my desk. I need to get up. Okay. Sārārtha-darśinī. Let me just check the comments. Haribol, Prajumna Prabhu, and Mantramurti Mataji. Okay. Okay, let's go back to Sārārtha-darśinī. The lotus flower in the heart stands on an erect stalk. The word nyaset indicates that one should apply one's concentration to meditate upon the form of the Supreme Lord. The phrase dhyana mangala means the auspicious object of meditation. The word sama indicates a particular form. The Lord is described as peaceful, meaning that he is not harsh. The two marks of Srivatsa and Lakshmi are situated on either side of Sri Krishna's chest. For concentrated meditation, one should fix his mind with the help of his intelligence, and in this way, one should gradually perfect his meditation upon the Supreme Lord. Tat sarva vyapakam chetam akrishaikatra dharayet nanyani chintayer bhuya susmitam bhavayen mukham. Thereafter, one should withdraw the mind from the limbs of that transcendental form and fix it on the wonderful smiling face of the Lord. Sārārtha-darśinī. The minds may be satisfied by viewing all of the limbs of the Lord's body, but for further advancement, one should withdraw and fix it on the Lord's smiling face. Tatra labda padam chetam akrishya vyom nidharayet tatscha tyaktva mar aroho na kinchir api chintayet. Thereafter, one should withdraw the mind which had been firmly fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord and establish it in the sky, which is the cause of the gross cosmic manifestation. Finally, one should relinquish that meditation as well, become fixed in me, thus giving up the process of meditation altogether. Sārārtha-darśinī. Uddhava had inquired about the kind of meditation that would enable one to achieve liberation from material existence. Here it is indicated that by meditating upon the lotus-like face of the Lord, one easily attains supreme liberation. It should be understood that devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the activity of the liberated souls, and thus is fully transcendental. Simply to be a meditator is considered very insignificant for those who are engaged in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord. Evam samahita mate mamivatmanamatmani vichaste mai sarvatman jyotir jyotishi samyutam. One who has fixed his mind on me should see me within his own self, and should see the individual soul within me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He should see how he is situated within the Lord, just like the rays of the sun are seen as united with the sun. The rays of the sun are seen united within the sun. What is that last sentence? He should see how he is situated within the Lord, just like the rays of the sun are united with the sun. Okay. Sārārtha-darśinī. The Supreme Lord is situated within the hearts of all living entities, and the living entities are situated within the gigantic universal body of the Lord. Still, the Supreme Lord is the single maintainer of countless living entities. Dhyanene tivrena yunjato yogino mana samyasyatya shuddh nirvanam dravya jnana kriya brahma. When the yogi carefully controls his mind by complete absorption and meditation, his false identification with material objects, mundane knowledge, and fruitive activities is soon dispelled. Sārārtha-darśinī. The result of intense meditation upon the form of the Lord is that one becomes freed from all illusion, including the threefold miseries, adibhotik, adidaivika, and adhyatmika. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. Hatha yoga or karma yoga and vichara yoga or raja yoga are partial aspects of bhakti yoga. The non-devotee yogis engage in the cultivation of knowledge, but it is only partial. The meditation which is performed in pure devotional service is absorption in thought of the Supreme Lord's transcendental names, forms, qualities, associates, and pastimes. Constant meditation is the result of absorption in the glorification of the Lord, which is one of the 9 processes of devotional service known as kirtan. When one is ignorant of his spiritual identity as the eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, he may be attracted to the performance of Hatha Yoga. Such practice will enable one to gradually come to realize his spiritual identity, and so it may serve as a stepping stone to the goal of devotional service. But those who take pleasure in mental speculation to philosophically understand the absolute truth may, after many births and deaths, come to the conclusion that the Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes, and thus begin to engage in devotional service. If one performs meditation without accepting the transcendental form of the Lord as the absolute truth, then his meditation will not award the results that have been described in this verse. In the Hatha Yoga system, one learns to control the body, and in the Jnana Yoga system, one learns to control the mind. In either case, one works for his own elevation, being impelled by selfish desires. This kind of selfish activity is referred to in this verse as kriya. One who desires the perfection of yoga must give up materialistic dravya, gyan, and kriya, and ultimately engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Thus ends the translation of the 8th chapter of the Uddhava-gīta entitled Lord Krishna Explains the Yoga System to Sri Uddhava, with the commentaries of Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura and chapter summary and purports by Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. All right, so now we're going to read a little bit chapter 9, just the beginning part, because there's 6,000 words in this chapter. 6,000 words is a little bit too much for one day, so I'm just reading up to verse. We'll see how far we get. Lord Krishna's description of mystic yoga perfections. And that way, when we read this chapter next, we'll be able to finish it. So, chapter summary by Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda. This chapter describes the 8 primary and 10 secondary mystic perfections. These mystic perfections are developed by fixing one's mind in yoga, but they are ultimately detrimental to the achievement of Lord Vishnu's lotus feet. Being asked by Uddhava, Lord Shri Krishna describes the 18 mystic perfections, their characteristics, and what type of meditation is to be practiced for the attainment of each one. The Lord concludes by saying, "For one who desires to render pure devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the attainment of these mystic powers is simply a waste of time, because they are impediments to the worship of the Supreme Lord. All these mystic perfections are automatically offered to a pure devotee, but he does not accept them. Unless employed in the devotional service of the Lord, these mystic perfections have no value. A devotee simply sees that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, both externally and internally, and depends completely upon him." Text 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Jitendriyasya yuktasya jitashvasasya yogina Mai dhara yatascheta upatishtanti siddhaya. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear Uddhava, when a yogi has controlled his senses, conquered his breathing process, steadied his mind, and concentrated his mind upon me, then all mystic perfections automatically appear to him. Sārārtha-darśinī. There are 8 primary mystic yoga perfections, beginning with Anima Siddhi, and 10 secondary yoga perfections. In this chapter, Lord Krishna will explain that these yoga siddhis are stumbling blocks on the path of Krishna consciousness. Shri Uddhava-uvacha Kaya dharanaya kasvit katam va siddhirachuta kati va siddhayo bruhi yoginam siddhido bhavan. Shri Uddhava said, "My dear Lord Achyuta, you alone are the bestower of all types of mystic perfections. Kindly tell me, by what process can the mystic perfections be achieved? How many types of mystic perfections are there? And what is the nature of each mystic perfection?" Sārārtha-darśinī. The word swit is employed while inquiring. Okay. Shri Bhagavan uvacha Siddhayośtadasha prokta dharana yoga paragai tasam ashto mat pradhana dashaiva gunahetava. The Supreme Lord said, "The sages who are masters of yoga have declared that there are 18 kinds of siddhi, mystic perfection, and dharana, meditation. Among these, 8 are primary, being sheltered in me, and 10 are secondary, appearing from the material mode of goodness." Sārārtha-darśinī. There are 18 kinds of dharana as well. The Supreme Lord is the shelter of the 8 primary dharanas, because they have been manifested from his internal potency and are thus transcendental. The other 10 meditations are mundane, being born from the material mode of goodness. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. Among the 18 kinds of perfection, 8 are transcendental and 10 are within the jurisdiction of the material modes of nature. The 8 siddhis are Anima, Laghima, Mahima, Prapti, Prakamya, Ishita, Vashita, and Kamavasayita. Among them, the first 3 pertain to the body, the 4th pertains to the senses, and the last 4 pertain to nature. The 10 minor perfections are Anurminatva, Durashravan, Duradarshan, Ichanurupa Dehergati, Ichanurupa Akar Grahan, Parakaya Pravesh, Svecha Mrityu, Deva Krida Darshan, Sankalpita Padartha Prapti, and Aprati Hata Agya. And they are all mundane. I wonder why they didn't give the definitions for all of these. So Anur Minatva means becoming smaller than an atom. Dur Shravan means being able to hear things that are happening in a distant place. Dur Darshan means being able to see things that are happening in a distant place. Ichanurupa Deharagati means being able to, on your own desire, being able to move your body to different destinations. Ichanurupa Akar Grahan, that means according to your desire, you can accept different things, I guess. Akar Grahan. You can, if you want this, you can get it in your hands. I'm guessing. Parakaya Pravesh. I don't know what Parakaya Pravesh means, but entering Parakaya. I have to look that up. Parakaya. Swechanu Mrityu means desiring on will. Dying on your own will. You can die whenever you want. Deva Krita Darshan means being able to see the demigods playing. Sankalpita Padartha Prapti means being able to get things that you imagine. Right? I think so. And a pratihata agya. Pratihata. Being able to give orders to pratihata. What does a pratihata mean? That's a common word. Anyways, all these are mundane. Okay, let's finish this up. Anima mahima murter lagima praptirindriyaya prakamyam shrutadrishteshu shakti preranam ishita goneshva sangavashita yat kamastad avasyati etame siddhaya somya ashtav otpatika mata. Anima, becoming smaller than the smallest, Mahima, becoming greater than the greatest, and Laghima, becoming lighter than the lightest, are mystic perfections by which one transforms one's body. Prapti-siddhi, by which one acquires whatever one desires, is related to the senses. Prakamya-siddhi enables one to experience any enjoyable object in this world and the next. Ishita-siddhi enables one to manipulate the sub-potencies of Maya. Vashita-siddhi enables one to be unimpeded by the three modes of nature. Kama-vasayita-siddhi enables one to obtain anything he may desire. My dear Uddhav, these 8 siddhis are considered as naturally existing and unexcelled within this world. Sārārtha-darśinī. Among these 8 mystic perfections, Anima, Mahima, and Laghima are related to the body. Prapti-siddhi is related to the senses, because by utilizing the senses, one can acquire anything. Prakamya-siddhi awards one the power to enjoy objects that one may have heard about but cannot see, such as something buried underground. By the Ishita-siddhi, one can manipulate the sub-potencies of nature. By the Vashita-siddhi, one can bring others under one's control and keep oneself beyond the influence of the 3 modes of material nature. Kama-vashayita-siddhi gives one the maximum power of control, acquisition, and enjoyment. These 8 mystic perfections are certainly grand accomplishments because they originally exist in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, it is 8:30, so I will end here. Okay. Man, I feel like reading on, but anyways, all this stuff here. What number is this? We read up to 6. I'll just write that in our chat. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari. Oops. Shishi Guru Gauranga. Let me just type this. Okay. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai. Nityal Pavishtam Vishnupad Amar Bhaktisiddhānta Narayan Gosvāmī Maharaj Śrīla Gurudev ki Jai. Nityal Pavishtam Vishnupad Rashatarashata Shishmar Bhaktisiddhānta Vaman Gosvāmī Maharaj ki Jai. Nityal Pavishtam Vishnupad Rashatarashata Shishmar Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Swami Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupāda ki Jai. Nityal Pavishtam Vishnupad Rashatarashata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Maharaj ki Jai. Nityal Pavishtam Vishnupad Rashatarashata Shishmar Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda ki Jai. Nityal Pavishta Maha Bhagavat Śrīla Gorkṣoras Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Nityal Pavishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura ki Jai. Nityal Pavishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Rupa Anuga Guru Varga ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jeev Gopal Patadasha Raghunath Shri Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Ṭhākura ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय। राधा कुंज श्यामा कुंज यमुना गंगा तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। श्री उद्धव-गीता की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर की जय। श्री भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. All right, so now for those who want to stay, we're going to sing Keshav Ashtakam. Oh, and yes, Kishore Prabhu, it is Gadadhar Pandit's appearance day tomorrow, Amavasya, and so tomorrow we will just read about Gadadhar Pandit, maybe sing some kirtans about Gadadhar Pandit, and then the day after tomorrow we'll continue with the Srimad Bhagavatam reading. Okay, let me make this dark. One second, just getting my mridanga. Krishna. Nava Priya Kamanjari. Okay. Nava Priya Kamanjari Rachita Karna Purashiyam Vinidrataramalati Kalita Shekare Nojvalam Tarojvasita Yudhika Kratita Valgovai Kakshakam Vraje Vijayinam Vaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Pishangi Manikastani Pranata Shringi Pingekshane Mridanga Dumale Shabali Hangsi Vangshi Priye Iti Sasuravi Kulam Taralam Avayantamura Avraje Vijayinam Vaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Gana Pranayam Namadura Narma Goshti Kala Vilasa Nilayan Milad Vivida Vesha Vidyotina Sakena Kila Saraya Patishu Hasayantam Gira Ovraje Vijayinam Vaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Shamambu Kanikavali Daravilida Gandantaram Samuda Giridhatuvir Likita Charupantrankuram Udancharali Mandali Duti Vidam Vivakralakam Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Nibadda Navatarnaka Vali Vilo Kanot Kantaya Ṭhākura Putan Chalayr Alugubhir Bhuvam Bindatim Kalena Davala Ghatam Lagu Nivartayantam Puro Vraje Vijayina Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Padankatati Birvaram Virachayantam Advashriyam Chala Tarala Naichiki Anichaya Dhuli Dhumra Srajam Marolla Hari Chanchali Krita Dukula Churanchalam Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Vilasamukala Dvani Birula Sanmanasa Shanara Kila Balavi Pulakayantamantargye Muhur Vidatatang Hridi Pramuditancha Goshteshware Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Upeta Pati Sundari Tati Birabhyarabhyarchitam Smetam Kurakaram Pitar Natarapanga Bhangi Shatai Stanastavaka Sancharan Nayana Chanchari Kanchalam Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam idam nikila ballavi kula mahotsavollasanam Kramena kila yapuman patati shushtupadyashtakam Tam ujvala diyang sada nijapadaravinda dvaye Ratim dadada chanchalam sukayatar vishakasaka Raje vijayinam bhaje vipina deshata keshavam Raje vijayinam bhaje vipina deshata keshavam Avraje vijayinam bhaje avipina deshata keshavam Vraje vijayinam bhaje vipina deshata keshavam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Keshav Deva Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Hari Bol, everybody. I'll see you all. Oh, and let's see, what are the titis coming up? Hey, look, it's at 1:08. Okay, so tomorrow is Gadadhar Pandit's appearance day, and 4 days from now is Akshay Tritiya, and 8 days from now is Janu Saptami, that's Janavi Puja. Then in 10 days from now is Janava Devi's appearance day, Janava Devi and Sita Devi's appearance day, and also the disappearance day of Sri Madhu Pandit. And in 12 days from now is Mohini Ekadashi, and in 15 days, almost 2 weeks from now, is Nrsimha Chaturdashi. All right, I'll see you all tomorrow to read about Sri Gadadhar Pandit. Hari Bol, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Hari Bol, Rohit Radhakrishnan ji, and Hare Krishna, everybody. All right, ending now.